Okay, so let's talk about your essay assignment today. Your essay assignment, you are required, let me show you how I got here real quick. I went to homepage, right, and went to essay assignments, and here I am, number 1. And this is about my technology story, okay? So let's talk about that. When you write your information, this is an informative essay and it's a descriptive essay, meaning that it's important that you provide lots of details to make kind of like a movie in your head for your reader, okay? So whenever we hear stories, we always imagine things in our head and we envision them. And the more details you provide for us, the better the story will be. And that's why it's called a descriptive informative essay. So informative only meaning that it tells the person what they need to know about a particular topic. It's just informing. You have nothing behind it, no real motive like persuasion or position. But it's just informative. And descriptive meaning that it's going to provide lots of details. So we already went over what MLA formatting is, and that's on a different page or a different video, so you can take a look at that if you didn't understand it or you somehow managed to miss that. But this is about my technology story, and so when you write your informative essay about technology, you need to think about your own experiences with technology. What do you identify as technology? Where do you use technology? Have you always used technology? And how has the usage of technology changed since you were born? For some of us, the use of technology has changed a lot. For others, it hasn't changed so much. But what you need to do is not think too much, don't get distressed too much on what technology means as a term. Okay, so you can just go to dictionary.com, look up technology, and see what they call technology. Determine what their definition is, okay? And you can work off of that, or you can work off something similar to it. All right, so your paper needs to be in MLA formatting. If you haven't figured that out yet, take a look at the other video. And then you need to use first or third person, which means he, she, they, I, me, and my. Okay, so first person is the I, me, we, us. Anything that includes you in it, okay, yourself, a self. Third person is the he, she, they. It's other. So second person, which you're not supposed to use, is you and your. Okay, so that's the you voice. You cannot use that. There's a really good reason for that, because second person is comes from our oral culture and our oral language, and we really want to keep from bringing all of that oral language into your writing skills, okay, into your written text. So make sure that you avoid inappropriate language such as text used for text messaging or slang, and language that's often described as street language. So that would be like, "What's up, bro?" or something like that, or any kind of slang that would be used for like that, like on the street. So this is really for a general audience. So think of it like an incoming freshman or something like that, just a normal person. Consider your audience. What does this person know about technology? What type of technology does this person value? Where does this person attend school? What does this person need to know in order to understand your technology story? And how would you want to be addressed if someone were presenting this information to you? Okay? So look, it's only got to be 5 paragraphs. This is an easy, you can do this kind of essay. It's your first essay. I asked you to try and make a good stab at it before, but just 5 paragraphs, okay? And each paragraph should have 6 to 8 well-developed, complete sentences, okay? Every one of the paragraphs needs that. So I'm really talking about not putting these skinny little sentences in there. Feed your paragraphs, okay? So in your developed introduction, your first paragraph, you want to start your paragraph by defining what you refer to as technology. So yeah, you might have a sentence that says technology is. The meaning of technology has changed since I've been alive. I think it means this, okay? Identify several technological items that have drastically evolved since you were born. Could be anything from a car, computer, microwave, okay, stove, oven. My gosh, all these things have changed so much. Use at least 1 or 2 sentences for each technological item you list and explain how this item has evolved. Okay, so choose one of these technology items. The last sentence should identify the technology you want to discuss and why it's important to you. This is your thesis statement. So your technology item might be the computer, and the reason it's important to you might be because it's how you communicate with people. Or your technology item could be a telephone. And telephone has changed. In my generation, since I've been alive, telephones have changed drastically. So it could be anything like that, okay? You just need to choose one for the last one, for your last sentence, and identify why it's the most important to you. And that's what your paper is going to focus on. Your whole paper is going to be about that one piece of technology, okay? So we always have 3 pieces to your essay. The first paragraph, which is your introduction, and then the middle paragraphs, which are called the body paragraphs, and then the final paragraph, which is the conclusion. So we're going to look at the middle paragraphs next. In your second paragraph, you want to look at that last sentence, this one that was here, your thesis sentence. Okay, so you want to refer back to your thesis and think about someone you know, it should not be yourself, who has used this technology before, who's used this piece of technology. Write one paragraph describing how that person, not you, used that piece of technology successfully. So you might talk about how someone, so if I decided to talk about the radio, car radios, and how they've changed over time, I might talk about how my mother used to use the 8-tracks, okay, and I would talk about that. So it's about someone else and how she used it, and I would talk about how when she was in the car, or I could talk about AM and FM radio and how radio has changed, because I remember riding in the car with my parents when I was young, and AM radio, whenever we would go into power lines or anything, it would fuzz out and come back in. But that was the type of radio we had when we were in the car. We traveled a lot. So my mom would use that all the time to listen to music, and my dad would use it all the time to listen to the news and to hear ball games and stuff. But so I could make my story about one of those adventures that I was in the car with them. Okay, so make sure you don't talk about how, don't talk about how you feel or how your dad felt about this piece of technology. Just make it a story about the technology itself and use lots of details. This is just a story about what he did one time, okay? So the next body paragraph, so this is the second paragraph of your essay, or the first body paragraph. The third paragraph of your essay should be think about that piece of technology again, and this time you're going to write a paragraph about one time that you wished, or someone else had been able to use this piece of technology but you couldn't. Like you wish that I wish that I could have used the technology on Super Bowl Sunday. Did you know that radio here in San Antonio did not have the Super Bowl game on the radio, only in Spanish? And since we don't know Spanish clear enough, although we did listen to it slightly, we were not able to listen to it while we were out of town waiting on our friends to come in from the airport. So we were sitting there at the airport in the car, but we couldn't listen to the game, except for every now and then we did get to the Spanish station and listen, and so we could hear pieces and bits of it. But that would be a story I could tell. That talks about the radio again and how I wish I could have used it more successfully. Okay, and then the next paragraph will talk about how I have used it successfully myself. Okay, so this is one time that I used the technology successfully. So this would be one time that I used the radio successfully, and that might be when I taught my son about music, because he was pretty young and he really didn't know much about music. And so I picked some songs that I thought he would understand and appreciate, and I put them on an MP3 player, and I told him that we should I put it on the MP3 player, but we listened to it in the car, and I told him we should listen to this and listen to the words, and did you hear that, and so on. And so that could be my story about how music has changed him and how it was a gift that I gave him, and now he likes music a lot. Anyway, so that could be the final story. So that's that third paragraph that's inside your body, okay? And then in the conclusion, you just want to summarize what you've already said. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about conclusions pretty soon. Essentially, you just want to go back to every paragraph, every one of your body paragraphs, and summarize what you said with just a sentence or two so that you can conclude it. Pretty much how it works is that your sentence at the end or your conclusion at the end is for your reader so that he'll know what, if he only read the conclusion, he'll know what the most important part of your essay was. So you want to focus on that, okay? So no new information in there. Let us all come to the same conclusion that you did. And remember that if the reader forgets everything, he should be able to read your conclusion and know what the most important parts of your essay were. Okay? Take a look at your revision. We're going to talk a lot about this over the next week during our discussions. We'll be making sure, first of all, that you've fulfilled all of this stuff. But essentially, we'll be looking at revision about typos, about sentences that are not clear, about fragments, about slang, and stuff like that. All right, I'll see you soon.